Welcome, food travelers, to another episode here in Vancouver, BC. We're heading to a restaurant in Broadway, Vancouver called Midam Cafe Bistro. It's a bit of a mouthful there. And as you see in the video, there's snow. It's really cold, and this was actually a really long planned trip because it was snowing quite a bit in our area, and we kind of postponed it a couple of times, trying watching the weather and seeing, then now it became frozen ice and everything, and you can't really leave the house or you may die. So we kind of postponed it, and we finally was able to make it here.
Yeah, Mike, it was a snowstorm, and then ice storm came, and so we had to actually wait up, and then finally it was clear enough for us to head up north. And even though they had a lot of snow there as well, it cleared up enough, at least with the roads and everything, that we could make there. But yeah, Midam is a Korean cafe, and it has this very unique basketball theme. We spoke with the guy who was there, and I wasn't sure if he was the owner, but he definitely knew his basketball. I wouldn't say as far back as we do, but he knew enough of the more recent things, and it was an interesting theme. But I really did enjoy coming and visit here. And I know one of the reasons why we actually wanted to come here, Micah, was because you were showing me some pictures they had of a dessert bibimbap that they had, and that looked really interesting to try. We really did want to come try it, and so that's why we actually headed over here.
Yeah, and unfortunately for that bibimbap, dessert was only available during the summertime, so when we came here, we were kind of bummed out that they didn't actually have it. But I did also want to mention that this restaurant has two locations. There's a Burnaby location, there's a Vancouver location, and as you enter the restaurant, you see like a plaque of Kobe Bryant. There's a big basketball hoop. It was really nice to see that they also have this I guess like a USA map of all the basketball teams, all the way dated back to even the Supersonics. And growing up, one of my favorite players watching the NBA was like Michael Jordan, of course, Penny Hardaway, Gary Payton. I remember talking to the guy, the surfer. He was asking about who's my favorite players or teams, and I mentioned some of those guys, and he's like, "What? Those are a really long time ago."
Yeah, he recognized them, so that's good. But I know he was more of the up-to-date NBA and maybe a little bit closer in the more near past. But we ended up ordering this bibimbap platter, and so it actually came out with like a variety of different things on top of it. One of the things they had was, of course, the bulgogi that came with it. Or I should say, it's a bulgogi platter, not the bibimbap platter. But it came with the bulgogi. There was rice with the fried egg on top. There was corn with some cheese. And that was pretty interesting for that part, because they brought in a little gas stove and they put the platter on top. And the waitress that was there, super nice, and she was very friendly. And she came in and she was kind of mixing. She asked if we wanted to have the cheese and the corn mixed, and so she kind of stood there and she was mixing the corn for us. And it took a little bit, which was kind of interesting. So we kind of both just kind of sat there watching her a little while as she was kind of mixing the corn and the cheese together. But, of course, like I said earlier, it was nice service. It was interesting, to say the least.
Yeah, it was definitely interesting watching her mix the corn and cheese. She really thoroughly mixed every single part of it. Like, there was no cheese or corn left untouched. She was really diligent about that, and I wasn't sure how extensive she was going to go all the way to mixing everything together, but that was definitely pretty interesting to watch. And I kind of thought it would have probably been a nicer way to enjoy this platter is if they actually left that stove underneath to kind of keep it warm while you're eating it, because as you're eating it, they'll kind of congeal and get hardened up. And food, I mean, it's a huge platter too, so it will take you a while to eat everything. And the noodles is a little bit on the spicier side, so I know for Simon you might be sweating there, but the overall it was actually pretty good mix. I think this platter could probably feed 4 people, but for 2 people we did a pretty good job on that. And the side dumplings that we got was actually the handmade pork dumplings, and those were deep fried, and those are really crispy on the outside, really good in the inside as well.
Yeah, like you mentioned, Micah, the noodles we had were the spicy udon noodles, and they were mixed in. And then of course you said the handmade dumplings, pork dumplings, and those were pretty good. I really did enjoy the crispness on the outside of the dumpling. That was really good. Yeah, and like you mentioned before, the platter. I think one of the things that, like, at least one of the favorite things I like at Korean restaurants is the stone pot bibimbap, where you get the bibimbap inside the stone pot, and then it kind of just, it's nice and hot, but it just kind of continues to kind of cook the rice and everything below as you're kind of eating through, and then when you get to that bottom, you kind of break up the rice, and it gets that crispiness, really great texture, and tastes really really good with the flavors. And so I was kind of hoping they kept that platter hot, because it's a metal platter down below. And that's probably the one thing I kind of really did wish, was that they actually kept it, like you said, going on the stove to kind of keep that thing hot and making everything nice and toasty, because it did cool down, and then as it cooled down, it was a little bit kind of, you're eating a little bit colder food, especially with how the weather was, where it was, in the middle of winter and everything's freezing. So it would have been nice to have a nice like hot platter and having all the food just stay hot.
Yeah, and for dessert we have this grilled rice cakes with maple syrup. And like when Simon ordered this, I wasn't sure exactly what he was ordering, and I thought with the maple syrup they should have gave us a lot more than what they gave us. It's good, but I feel like it maybe, like when we were discussing, if they gave us honey, it may have been better, because then it would have like stuck to the actual rice cakes, and you would get better flavoring with that.
Yeah, it's like I really like the grilled tteokbokki. It creates a really nice crispy crust on the outside, and then it's really chewy, soft on the inside. One of the things I do like is eating the tteokbokki with the grilled tteokbokki with honey, because the honey has a high sweetness to it, and so it really contrasts with the rice cake. In this case, they used maple syrup, which I understand, because Canada, of course, is famous for their maple syrup, but the sweetness is not as great as the honey, so I think the balance made it a little softer, and so you kind of wanted more maple syrup to have with the tteokbokki itself. So that would have been really nice if we actually got a little bit more, but it's understandable. Maple syrup, I know it's on the expensive end, but overall, I really did enjoy the restaurant, and I do definitely want to come back to try that dessert bibimbap in the summer. So definitely we'll have to make plans for that in the future. And to wrap up the episode are our notables, and unfortunately for this episode, we did not have any notables.
And to support our channel, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and the notification bell. For more photos of food and our travels, follow us on Instagram. Thanks for watching.